So I've been using the Kishi Edge for a couple of months. Was it worth it? And we're back, DLG fam. Welcome to everyone. Welcome to all the new viewers. Thank you for taking the time to come by to our channel. Bienvenidos a todos al canal DLG. Gracias por tomar el tiempo en venir a nuestro canal. So guys, I've been using the Edge for the last few months. And you know what? Today, we're gonna dive into it and give you a review and let you know, do I really think that the device is worth the $400 price tag on it? So let's jump into it and get this review going. Alright guys, so the Kishi Edge does come in two different flavors, the Wi-Fi and the 5G, which connects via cellular data. The Wi-Fi edition goes for $399. It does come with a Qualcomm Snapdragon G3X Gen 1. The screen is a 6.8-inch FHD 2400 by 1080 AMOLED running at 144 Hz. The RAM is 6 GB. The internal storage is only 128 GB. The external memory support can go up to 2 TB, but we're gonna touch base on that external memory because there is a small issue with the storage itself. The audio is two-way speakers and 2 digital microphones with THX spatial audio. The front camera is a 5 megapixel at 1080p running at 60 frames per second. The battery, it has a pretty nice battery size of 5000 mAh that gives you about roughly between 6 to 8 hours of playtime depending on how heavy the actual game is. It also has a Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.2, a USB Type-C input connection, a 3.5mm jack via the controller only. So what's the difference between the Wi-Fi edition and the 5G? Well guys, it has the same chipset, it has the same screen type, but when it comes to the RAM, they're giving you an additional 2 GB of RAM for what? Like $200 additional dollars. Obviously, you gotta go to Verizon in order for you to see the actual pricing. I would not pay $200 more for 2 gigs of RAM. I think I'll just stick with what I have for now. Everything else is exactly the same. The only difference ends up being that one is cellular data, which you're gonna drain all your data. If you don't need it, then you can use it. But hey, for me, I'd rather go Wi-Fi because you already know when you're playing multiplayer, these games can actually be very heavy when it comes to the amount of data that they use while you're gaming. Other than that, everything else remains the same on the device itself. Alright guys, here we go. The Razer Edge Wi-Fi edition. So basically what this is an actual Android tablet attached to a Razer Kishi Pro edition. So let's start off on the actual controller itself. This controller is the Razer Kishi Pro edition. So there's two differences between the Pro controller and the regular Kishi edition. This controller has haptic feedback, which will only work with certain games. That really sucks. I really wanted it to work with Call of Duty Mobile or Apex because we're so used to having the rumble feature on the actual controllers. It would be nice if they would have carried it onto this device for all the games. All right, so the controller itself, it has all the exact same buttons in the same place, just like on the regular Kishi. The thing about this controller is that the actual directional pad is not your regular directional pad that you would find like on your Nintendo, on your Super Nintendo controller. The directional pad is extra clicky, and that makes it a little bit more difficult when you're playing all those classic games that we all might enjoy playing here and there. And I'll give you guys an example of the game once I actually run it. Everything else on the controller itself is actually the same, just like on the regular Kishi. The directional pad itself will work great with all the other games except with the fighting games. So with this particular controller, it actually makes it rather difficult for you to play fighting games because since it's extra clicky, it takes a little bit of getting used to the actual directional pad. And for some reason, you gotta do it a couple of times in order for you to get those combo moves going. As far as the actual ergonomics on the controller, they hit that right out of the ballpark because this controller also sits very well on the palm of your hand, so you don't feel rather weird trying to hold it like other controllers that are completely flat, you know, and then they start digging in the palm of your hand. This one feels rather comfortable and it doesn't bother me while I'm playing. The only complaint I really do have is the joysticks. You already know how I am with the joysticks. For me, I'd rather have had them stick with the Kishi 1 joysticks. These joysticks give me the feel of an actual Joy-Con, and I don't like that because when I'm playing Call of Duty Mobile, I'm all over the screen because they're just a little too soft for me. So now let's talk about the tablet itself, because that's what it is. It's a tablet. They could have done a better job and actually integrated the controller into the tablet itself and made it seem like it was all one unit, kind of like the Steam Deck, you know what I mean? That would have been pretty cool for me. Other than that, it's like if you're just grabbing any phone and sticking it onto the controller. But let's touch base on the tablet itself. So the tablet is an Android and it's running the latest OS, which is Android 12. You could download any game you want off of the Google Play Store. The tablet itself has a 20:9 aspect ratio when it comes to the actual screen. But let me point out one thing that really bugs me. They should have actually used up the entire edges of the tablet itself and actually avoided these rounded off corners here. Hey Razer, what's the deal with the rounded off corners? What are you trying to mimic with this device? There's so much real estate left over around the edges that I feel you guys could have done a better job on that. For me, I feel that the real estate of the screen was not used to its full capabilities. I'm not talking about the display refresh rate. I'm talking about the way the actual screen is laid out. As far as the storage goes, as you guys can see, I almost have all of my storage used up. I've used up 80 gigabytes of storage of 128 gigs. That is crazy. So that means I actually have to put in an SD card to be able to get more games in here, because look at that. I'm already running out of space. I've used about 40 gigabytes of space just for games, and the system is using 34 gigs. That's insane. So the one thing I will not take away from this device is the fact that it's so powerful in such a small form factor. Look how thin that thing is. And the fact that this actually has a built-in fan. This is what makes this device a great gaming device, because of the fact that it has a built-in fan. And I will touch base on performance mode and all those type of deals. But if you try to play for a prolonged period of time on your phone, you're gonna start noticing some lag, because obviously our phones don't have a built-in fan, and this particular device does. So let's talk about the actual capabilities of this device when it comes to gaming. You'll notice that once you plug it in, you'll get a little white light for confirmation right there, as you guys can see. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and try the emulator and check it out. So that's the one neat thing about this device itself. You can actually emulate games. That's something I don't take away from Android itself, is the fact that you can do this, and this is pretty cool. So look at that, guys. Look at the wide selection of video games we got right here. Man, we're gonna take it old school right here. We're gonna do some Street Fighter, so you guys can check this out. And let's see how well this works. All right, guys, so let's talk about the screen right now. So the screen itself, I did mention it's a 20:9 ratio, but as you guys can see, when you're actually emulating games, you get these huge black bars on the side, because emulation doesn't allow you to have a full screen. But with this particular app, if you go into options, you're actually able to go in here and change the settings full screen. But look at that, it doesn't look nice. It looks distorted because it looks stretched out. So let's go ahead and set it back to the standard. And right there, you get the best settings. As you guys can see right there, you get the best view. And that would be a 4:3 screen, because that's the classic arcade style. Because if you guys remember, back in the days, all the arcades were 4:3, because that's how the TVs used to be. So let's go ahead and start this game and talk about the actual directional pad. As you guys can see, it's rather hard. Oh, there we go. Got a Hadouken off of it. It's rather hard to get the little combos. There we go. There we got another one off of it. It's rather hard because the actual directional pad is too clicky. And I feel that if they would have just used the regular rubber membrane, that would have been so much better. And that right there is actually emulating a Super Nintendo game, which is Street Fighter 2. You're able to do so many other things with this particular device because it is an Android tablet. So that means that it's open and you could install as many applications as the memory will allow you to do so. You're also able to do Xbox Cloud or Remote Play. You're able to connect to your actual Xbox and play your games from here remotely. And when it comes to video game emulation, you're able to use many applications on this particular device. I just showed you one of them, which is RetroArch. That is free on the Google Play Store. When it comes to retro gaming, you're actually able to load up this website as well, which is called Web Arcade. Right now I have the NES loaded, and you're able to play many of the games that are on here. And you can also use the actual Razer Kishi controller on it. Let's try out this game right here so you guys can check it out. And there you go, it's loaded, and you could just use the buttons and the controller. You use the directional pad to go ahead and play this game. And check this out, look at that, it runs nice and smooth on the actual device itself. There's no lag whatsoever, obviously because it's an old school game. All right guys, so you can actually also run cloud gaming on this device, the Xbox Cloud Gaming. We're gonna go ahead and load up one particular game. Let's see how this particular Minecraft game runs on here. And let's check out the aspect ratio, if it's going to take advantage of the full screen or give us a 2 black bars on the side itself. There we go, the 2 black bars as you guys can see right there. All right, check it out guys. So it natively supports the actual controller itself. You do not have to use the virtual controller that is within the actual Nexus app. I will touch base on the actual virtual controller, but as you guys can see, everything works the same as if you were using an actual controller. Right now I'm using the Xbox Cloud Gaming, and you're also able to use remote play on it. I had a small problem. I was not able to connect to my actual Xbox. There's something going on with my network that is not allowing it to do so. But take my word for it, you're actually able to use remote play. So we're gonna go ahead and do a size comparison to the actual Nintendo Switch OLED version. As you guys can see, look at that. Nintendo actually took full advantage of the actual real estate that the screen is able to provide. Although there is a bezel around the edge, I feel that Nintendo did a way better job at using the entire real estate for the screen itself. As you guys can see, this is an actual 7-inch display. This is a 6.8-inch display. For some reason, the actual Razer one looks much more smaller than the Nintendo Switch OLED. You tell me guys, why is that? If there's actually only what, 0.02 of an inch of a difference between both devices. Although the Edge's screen is a 6.8 AMOLED 20:9 aspect ratio, it is only using 5 3/4 of the actual real estate of the screen. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that it actually looks smaller. At least for me. You tell me down in the comments below, do you guys think the actual Razer Edge screen looks smaller than the Nintendo Switch OLED? So let's talk about the Nexus app. The Nexus app is this actual icon right here down below. You click on that, and what they attempted to do here is have somewhat of a game shelf of all the games you actually want to play, or they suggest you to play, or that you actually have installed on your system. As you guys can see right here, this is the virtual controller. That virtual controller, what that allows you to do, it allows you to map out your joysticks, your buttons, and your directional pad to games like Call of Duty that have a non-native support to the actual controller itself. What that is the actual game has a built-in controller on the screen. That's why you guys see this particular layout right here. I already have it preset to where the actual buttons are, how I want them to function. I will show you guys real quick of how it actually works. You could actually move all these things wherever you want, but I don't want to move them out of the way until I get to the proper screen to show you that the actual buttons are laying right on top of the virtual controller screen. All right guys, here you go. As you guys can see, here is the actual controllers on the virtual controller screen. If you press this top button here, you will see that everything is laid out to its corresponding spot. That way you're actually able to use the Kishi controller with the game itself. Let's see how well or how bad do we do. Here we go. It's a huge disadvantage to use these things because a lot of people still use the on-screen controllers. So this basically gives you the feel of an actual controller itself. You guys saw right there how it actually works. And let me know down in the comments below if you guys actually like gaming with the Kishi controller or if you use the actual on-screen buttons. So the speakers are rather good considering the fact that they're actually sitting on the side of the tablet itself. But these slots right here, as you guys can see, there's 2 slots on each side. That actually helps to push the audio towards you and it makes it sound really good. So check this out so you guys can hear it for yourselves. There we go. The audio is coming out through the slots right here. The one thing I have noticed about the actual Nexus app is that sometimes a virtual controller will appear and sometimes it'll just disappear out of nowhere. This particular button right here, if you press that, it will unbind all your keys. What that means, it'll actually turn off the actual Nexus app, or should I say, the virtual controller, and it will no longer function with the game itself. So you have to be rather careful not to click on that. But my problem is I feel that it's a bug within the software itself. The software, at times it might crash, or it does crash, and all the on-screen controls are wiped out, and that makes the controller itself useless and you can't use it at all. So you have to go to your on-screen controller. In order for you to take advantage of this virtual controller, you have to update the Nexus app. So remember I told you guys about the actual fan? Listen to this. That's the fan itself functioning to try to cool off the device. And we're not even under performance mode. I'm going to touch base right now on performance mode and let you guys know what are the pros and what are the cons on that. All right, guys, so talking about performance mode, so what you want to do is you want to go into settings, and then what you do is you go into the battery section, and right there it is, performance mode. You go ahead and you turn that on, and that's going to give you the full capabilities of the Edge itself, or should I say tablet. The only downside to that is that fan noise is gonna go up. So if you don't mind the noise of the fan, go ahead and press that sucker on and take full advantage of the powerful device. So I did mention display refresh rates, right? So you go into settings once again, you go into display, and if you go right here, you go into screen refresh rate, you're able to switch it from 60 Hertz, 90 Hertz, 120, or 144, which is ultra performing gaming mode, increases battery usage. And that right there is what reduces your actual battery level rather quickly. All right, guys, so what do you guys think about the actual device? It actually does have haptic feedback, and the only thing about that is that the haptic feedback only works with certain games. I really wish that they would have made that work with all the games and not just a few of them. The only thing about the haptic feedback is you cannot lower the intensity, so it's always at a very high level. To me, that doesn't bother me, but to many, it might be kind of annoying if the rumble is a little too strong. You can actually use the device itself with an external display. I do not have an actual adapter that is an HDMI to USB Type-C, but take my word for it, it will work. The only problem is that you will get a 20:9 aspect ratio, so that means that you're gonna get some black bars on the top and the bottom of your actual monitor, because it's going to go ahead and mirror whatever you're seeing on your actual screen. Another neat thing you're actually able to do with this device is actually stream. Not only stream games, but you can stream movies. Install your Netflix, your Disney Plus, all those streaming apps. You're actually able to use this device with it, and you don't have to carry around multiple devices in order for you to watch a movie or play video games. So that's a plus on this. So I know we touched base on the actual directional pad. As far as the clickiness, all the buttons are super clicky, but they're very responsive, not compared to the actual directional pad when it comes to the actual fighting games. Every other game, it works great. So what do I like about this particular device? Well, it is a little bit pricey, but you're getting what you pay for. So you get a lot of features for a fraction of the cost compared to other devices. The display quality, you can't beat that because of the fact that you are getting a 6.8-inch FHD AMOLED screen. And not only that, the screen has a 144 Hertz refresh rate. That's pretty cool considering the size of this thing. So the expected battery life on this device is about 8 hours or so, depending on the type of game that you're running. During these past few months that I've been using it, I've been using Call of Duty Mobile on it a lot. I play a few games maybe for about 30-40 minutes. I'll notice that the battery runs down to about 70% or sometimes 60% depending on how hot the device is running. And I mean, it's understandable, you know, you are pushing it to the extreme. I can lower the refresh rate, but I don't want it to mess with my gameplay. Another thing I like about it is the ergonomical shape on the actual controller, but then again, it's two separate devices, right? But the controller itself does feel really good in your hands, and it does not feel uncomfortable. The audio quality is really good on the device considering the size and the fact that it's a tablet, so it sounds really good. I couldn't play any actual music because you guys already know copyright issues, but take my word for it, it actually has really loud speakers and they're really good. As far as the haptic goes, I would say it's kind of like a pro and a con at the same time, because you cannot use it with multiple games. You're actually tied down to only a few that are available through Google Play. So what don't I like? I don't like the aspect ratio. This thing should have been a 16:9 and not a 20:9, and the fact that that does happen, if you're using this device for emulating, and the fact that that's an issue, if you are actually using this device for emulation, you're gonna be stuck with a 4:3 screen or 16:9, and what that means, you're gonna get those black bars on the side. But at the same time, it's okay. I can deal with the black bars. Can you deal with the black bars? I mean, it's like whatever. You are emulating pretty old games, and obviously you're not gonna have that type of support like you do with the most recent games. So the software itself feels completely unfinished. So the problem with the SD card is the fact that it is a FAT32 system, and what that does, it renders you to not being able to use games that are higher than 4 gigabytes in size. And that really sucks, because if you're trying to emulate like PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3 or even PlayStation 4 games, obviously you're not gonna have a game from those type of consoles at a 4 gigabyte size. That's insane. So I'm not sure how many of you like inverting your actual joysticks, you know, using the left on the right and the right on the left. The actual software doesn't allow you to do that. Another thing is the output display will always be 20:9, and that will not change, not unless there is an update to the software that allows you to go ahead and change that once you have your device connected to an external display. And in general, I just feel like this was slapped together. They grabbed the Kishi controller, added a headphone jack, haptic feedback, created a tablet, and bam, slapped it together and called it an Edge. So guys, who do I feel this device is basically for? I mean, you do have other devices available, just like the Steam Deck. The only thing about this one, you could actually go and walk in the store and buy it. As far as the Steam Deck goes, I'm pretty sure there's like a wait time still in order for you to buy it. Let me know down in the comments below if I'm wrong about waiting for an actual Steam Deck. And also, I'm not too sure how many people have 400 bucks to be budging for every device that comes out. I shouldn't be talking, right? Because I just, right on my foot. But anyway, I'm doing this for you guys so you guys won't go out there and spend the money on these type of things. So this device, as I mentioned before, who is it for? If you're an Android gamer, this is for you. But if you're like me, that I don't like taking my phone out of the case because I don't want to drop it and damage it and it's going to cost me another $1,500 for a new phone compared to $400, I'll go ahead and buy this right here. And then again, you're not using the battery on your actual phone and draining it. Actually, you will not have an excuse for not being able to answer any of those calls, right? But if taking your phone out of your case is a slight inconvenience, then go ahead and buy this $400 device. So let me know down in the comments below, do you feel that this device is worth the $400 price tag on it? Or did you already splurge and spent the 400 bucks on it? Let me know down in the comments below. So if you're a dad, a gaming dad, hey, got you. You thought I was gonna throw the actual Edge, right? No, that's $400 down the drain if I drop it. Don't forget to check out my latest video. But till next time, guys, I'm Tech. Peace out. Bro, could you imagine if I dropped this? Man, I would have had the worst headache in the world.